What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to do a short and sweet Pilates warm-up. These are foundational exercises that not only are great to use as a warm-up as part of your practice, but they also teach you how we move and how we control and stabilize the body throughout our Pilates practice. So we have a couple exercises. These are great for all levels, especially for beginners, because like I said, they're teaching how to correctly do the other exercises in the full mat Pilates class. So we're going to go ahead and get started on our back, laying down, feet flat and knees bent. So the first thing we're going to do is start on the back with the feet flat and the knees bent. We want the feet, the knees, the hips, and the shoulders all in one line. Then we're going to bring our awareness into our breath. So you could even bring your hands to your ribs, and as you inhale, feel the body expanding with the breath. And as we exhale, we're going to begin to let that low back release. And as we exhale, we're going to begin to draw the abs in and up towards the heart. In our Pilates scoop, we want to think about drawing the belly button down towards the spine and then up towards the heart. It's that zipping up of the abdominals. That's that feeling we want. So big breath in and an exhale. Let's do two more. And as we exhale and we're zipping those abdominals up, we're starting to let that low back release a little bit into the mat. Now let's bring our awareness towards our spine. We want to allow the body to have the natural curves of the spine, meaning that I have a little space under my low back. I'm not jamming my low back down, but I'm also not letting that low back arch away and kind of sticking my chest and my belly out. So in Pilates, we always want to work from a neutral spine and a neutral pelvis. So to find our neutral pelvis, we want the hip bones and the pubic bone on the same plane. So what I suggest to do is to make a little diamond with your hands right on your lower abdominals with the palms kind of resting in towards the hip bones and then your fingers pointing down towards your pubic bone. And imagine you have a cup of tea sitting right here on your lower abdominals. So in a neutral pelvis where I am right now, my spine is following the natural curves and the tea is sitting straight up without spilling. If I was going to go into a tilt, so I'm going to tilt my pelvis forward, you can see that my low back arches away and the tea would spill towards my knees. And then I'm going to bring my pelvis back into neutral. And then I'm going to go into a tuck. So I'm going to tilt my pelvis towards me. You can see that low back pressing into the mat and that tea would spill towards my face. And then I'm going to come back into neutral. So let's go back into a tilt, through neutral, into a tuck, and back. Once you've found neutral, you want to remember that that's where we're always going to work from. So we're going to use our abdominals to stabilize our pelvis while we move other things. So in Pilates, we're always stabilizing something while we're moving something, and our abdominals and our powerhouse is a huge part of that. So now that we talked about the pelvis, let's talk about the shoulder girdle, the upper trunk. We want to focus on keeping our shoulders connected, so we're even going to use those abdominals to make sure that our shoulders are stable. So we're going to start with some arm work. So we're going to bring our arms up, and I'm going to scoop my abs in as I reach my arms to the floor over my head. And I'm keeping my shoulder blades down and away from my ears. And at the same time, I'm allowing my abs to stabilize my trunk so that the only thing I'm moving is my arms. So for instance, an incorrect way to do this would be as my arms go overhead, I allow my back to arch away. So I've lost that connection to my abdominals. So I'm going to use those abs to keep me in neutral throughout. So everything we're going to do, you could just do about 5 reps. This is a great way just to warm up all of the body. So these arm movements, they're teaching stabilization of our upper trunk and our shoulder girdle, while at the same time it's really beginning to warm up the shoulder joint. And if you want to add on to this, you can even do some circles, almost like snow angels. I would do anywhere from 3 to 5 in each direction, and then reverse those. Again, watching the shoulders stay connected, they're not creeping up. Next, we're going to do some neck curls or abdominal curls. So I take an inhale to prepare, and as I scoop my abs in, I'm going to reach my fingertips forward and just curl my head and shoulders up off the floor. And then release down. So I'm using my abdominals to curl up the head and shoulders. I'm keeping my shoulders down where they're supposed to be so I'm not up in my ears. And I'm also using my abdominals to lift the head and shoulders while protecting the neck. So incorrect things would be to crunch the neck in towards the chest too much. Or as I lift, I'm letting the head fall backwards. So those would be incorrect. So we want to keep the gaze moving forward and up towards the knees. And we're keeping those abdominals drawn in. So great way to warm up the upper abdominals and teach how to lift the head and shoulders and support the head and shoulders using your abdominals and staying out of your neck. Very key in our mat Pilates moves. Next, we're going to do knee folds. So staying in that position, I'm going to make sure my pelvis is in neutral. I'm scooping my abs in, head and shoulders are going to stay down. I'm going to bring my right leg up into tabletop. So creating a 90 degree, I want the knee right over the hip and the shin parallel to the floor. And then keeping my abs scooped in, I'm going to bring my left leg up into tabletop. And then the right is going to go down. And the left is going to go down. And let's keep moving through that, making sure that you stay in neutral. So as you watch, my pelvis doesn't leave neutral. And what this is teaching is how to stabilize your core, your powerhouse, while separately moving the legs. And this is going to also work our lower abdominals. Then what we can do is alternate. So I'm using my abdominals, scooping in and up, keeping that pelvis in neutral so that I can maintain stability through the torso and the abs and the pelvis while I move the legs. So again, stabilizing and moving at the same time. Next up is what's called knee sways. So I'm going to use my abs again to keep the trunk, the powerhouse of my pelvis stable. I'm going to let one knee fall out to the side. I'm going to keep that pelvis squared up to the ceiling and keep this leg still. So I don't want this leg to drop over as well. Then I'm coming back into center, and then the other leg's going to go out. You could do 4 to 5 on one side, and then go to the other side. I like to alternate. And then each time I'm going to try to let this leg go a little bit more towards the floor. Again, being mindful that I'm not shifting my pelvis. I love this too as a warm-up because it's a great way to warm up the hips. And you're working abduction and adduction. So you're getting a little seat work, little inner and outer thigh. And again, we're working the abdominals to stabilize. From our knee folds, we're going to go into knee sways. So I like to bring my feet and my knees a little bit closer towards the midline of my body. And we're gonna let those knees fall over to the right. Now, I wanna try to keep my shoulders, my torso connected. This left hip is gonna come up a little bit, but I wanna try to keep squared off to the ceiling as much as I can. Then we're gonna use those abdominals to come through center. We're gonna go over to the left. You can see this side of my butt cheek, my glutes lifts just a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back to center. You can even bring your hands onto your hips and kind of make sure those stay a little bit squared off. So what this is teaching is some rotational movement from the spine. It's also working the obliques, which is really nice. Now, this would be a very basic way to do this. If you wanted to advance this, we could bring the legs up into tabletop, find your neutral pelvis, and we can keep the legs moving that way. So this is going to be a little bit deeper abdominal work, making sure that pelvis doesn't go too far over to one side, abs are scooped in and up. Next up is leg slides. So keeping that pelvis in neutral, I'm just going to reach one leg straight out, sliding it along the floor. And then I'm going to slide it back in. And then we're going to alternate. So this is going to continue to increase and work on that core strength and stability. But it also teaches you how to move unilaterally, moving one side of the body at a time. So as I'm moving one side, I'm working to stabilize the other. And it also teaches you that reaching out of your center. So instead of really just reaching from my hips, I'm really using my abs to create some length and reaching out from the center of my body as I do this. Slow and controlled. That's the name of the game in Pilates. Once you have that control of everything, you're able to move on and progress. And then last but not least is flight. This teaches spinal extension. So I'm using my abs to support my low back as I lift the head and shoulders. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and show some love on this video. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below. I'll be happy to answer them. And if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. Until next time, stay well and stay fabulous. Bye!